The thing that I find the most, striking about Egypt is how much of the pharaonic and ancient world still makes up how we think, what we do.
I guess from the bread you eat every day.
Exactly.
Although those crafts were born in a specific historical context and would often serve power or religion, I think they today have to engage with youth.
Tell me, Louis, about when you first came to Egypt. What you came on a holiday? I think it was in 2017. What did you do, and what was so amazing about the country for you? Because it's a country you come back to repeatedly. You're inspired by it. You have a lot of very good friends here.
So Egypt was my first trip. Was a year after my recovery. It had been a place I had wanted to visit for many years, but strangely enough, I had never made that move. There was a work of this French photographer called Denis Dailleux, which I loved, who captured the life of downtown Cairo, this sort of quaint, ethereal atmospheres, and it's something I wanted to see from my own eyes. It was less for the ancient world that I came to Egypt for the first time. And during that trip, I fell in love with somebody in Cairo. And this completely changed, the way I lived, because I moved to Cairo for that person, leaving behind Paris and Marrakesh, which I kept as bases, but far away and quite distantly. And it's during that time that I started looking at the culture, the craft, meeting people, and really connecting with the country. On that first trip, I had also done this Nile cruise. Actually, I remember it was in February. The weather was amazing, and it was a period of time where, although we were quite a few years after the revolution, there was no one were visiting.
Yeah, it was a quiet for many years after the revolution. Yeah.
So it was a very extremely privileged moment to visit Egypt, because locals were available to engage. They were, how do I say, excited to see foreigners in villages along the Nile towards Aswan. There was a warmth and an excitement, which I sensed, and it truly moved me. And then coming back to Cairo and spending time with my partner, I got to understand that there was much more to the ancient world, to this ancient heritage in Egypt, and there's also fascinating contemporary scene on many different levels, in the design world, in the music world, there was something absolutely electrifying about it, and there's an energy I've never found elsewhere in the world than in Cairo.
Yeah. See, I find that for me, Cairo, I don't see what you're saying about Cairo particularly, but for me, I find that there is a very special energy in Aswan. There is something quite magical about that city, and that the ancientness somehow seeps through in every part of the people living there today. And the thing that I find the most striking about Egypt is how much of the pharaonic and ancient world still makes up how we think, what we do, how we live, even if it's on a subconscious level. A lot of things in our day-to-day life are taken from that, and it's just passed down through centuries.
I guess from the bread you eat every day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. Something that's very interesting, and something that, of course, in Egypt and in a lot of ancient cultures, I think there is a, a receding nature to the craftsmanship that is no longer at the forefront of the modern world. And we have, as you know, wonderful craftsmen in Egypt, but it's a dying art in a lot of their particular fields. How can we keep that alive? Is there a way that we can keep these industries going?
Absolutely. I think although those crafts were born in a specific historical context and would often serve power or religion, I think they today have to engage with youth. They have to engage with current topics. And I think through contemporary art and dialoguing with artists, perhaps people from external backgrounds, this allows to nourish the conversation and provide those techniques with multiple angles and
So that's
give.
very much what you're doing right now.
That's exactly what I try to do.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I try to engage with existing ancestral crafts in regions of the world where there is this wealth, there is this multi-layered identity, but also countries where there is a certain vulnerability facing globalization and standardization. In Egypt, it's quite striking. Because Egypt is also facing a quite strong economic crisis, and a lot of those beautiful works are perishing. And in certain cases, there is no state behind backing up those collectives
Yeah.
of artisans. We live in a fast-paced world. AI has joined our day-to-day life in the past couple of years. I see a tough future for these craft communities, although AI will never be able to replace them. So I think it's important for us, designers, artists, architects, creatives, but even private, appreciators. It's important to commission, to develop, to, you know, help those craft resonate with our times. It also gives new horizons and to my work, new dimensions
Yeah.
to it. It's a
Yeah.
win-win. It's a win-win
Yeah,
conversation.
absolutely. What are you working on now that you'd like to share with us? What have you got in the pipeline that you're working on? What's capturing your attention these days?
So I'm working on multiple projects simultaneously and in different countries all at once.
How do you manage that? That's crazy.
Yeah, I think I've segmented my brain by countries almost. uh, you know, and I allocate for each place which I love. It's not that I can pick one time and space to develop projects. And obviously, in parallel to this, they are maybe the more commercial ones, which are the alimentary industrialized projects, which allow personal ones to foster.
It's the bread and butter that keeps you going to do the more heartfelt things. Yeah,
Absolutely. I think for me, this is the trickiest
yeah,
balance to maintain the sustainability of my personal caprices, basically.
absolutely. We all need those. Yeah, yeah.
The ones that I'm excited about, there are a few. I would say there's an ongoing collaboration with female Afghan weavers in the north of Afghanistan. We had initiated the work a year ago, and the first drop of rugs, hand-knotted rugs that we designed collectively with the women who were involved in the designs as well. First time for them, as you would usually be asked to weave solely.
Yeah. You know who had done a project like that a few years ago was a girl I had, a very well-known designer who I know you know, Netta Dibbs. She was on
Yes,
our show a few years ago, and she spoke about working with the Afghan weavers as well.
I love Nada. I love Nada, and
Yeah.
I have, as well what she symbolizes for female Arab designers. I think it's important to
Yes.
have like this in the international scene, and she does it so well.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's this project in Afghanistan, and we're preparing a second drop coming this winter. Um, so this has been a fruitful collaboration. I'm so glad because thanks to the visibility we had through press, we have continuous orders, and we have for a good year of production for this collective of women who now work exclusively
That's
from home.
wonderful.
They're not allowed to work in any workshops. So
Yeah.
their only
Yeah.
way of generating an income is locked at home, almost clandestinely.
Mm,
But
mm,
with a
mm.
fixer on site, we managed to coordinate all that. And I think this has been a beautiful journey. Another
Mm.
project is preparing a tapestry. It's for Art Abu Dhabi in November with a collective of embroiderers.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
women actually in Mahdia in Tunisia. And this is a tapestry that speaks about migration, and the journey that migrants, sub-Saharan migrants in transit in Tunisia face, this the danger, the dehumanization, the struggle. So I think it's, yes, I wanted to share this story, which is an important subject today in Tunisia, given the number of migrants who reach the Tunisian shores to cross the Mediterranean to Italy.
To cross into Europe. Yeah.
I think it's it's an important topic to speak about, because we tend to forget the journey that migrants cross. And not later than yesterday in Paris, I was having my food delivered by Uber, and we see those very, very precarious lifestyles and jobs that are offered to those migrants upon arrival.
That's right.
And
That's right.
sometimes forget the courage of these people and the determination to live a better life. So it was a way of giving them justice.